stop it. Every stumble lit a fire inside. Now I walk with my head held high. Lessons learned and bridges burned. Still I rise with every turn. This is more than just a climb. It's my moment, it's my time. No more hiding in the crowd. Gonna wear my soul out loud. The world is waiting just to see all the magic inside of me. Shine, shine like a diamond bright. Shine your light, you've got every right. You are special, let it show. Be yourself and let it flow. Stand out, don't dim your glow. You were born to steal the show. Shine, shine like you mean it. Shine so bright they can't believe it. Pages turn, but the heart stayed true. Every scar's got a golden hue. Telling my story in my own style. With every post, every smile. From the hustle to the heart. Every ending's a brand new start. Turning passion into plans. Now I'm dancing where I stand. I don't chase, I'm magnetized. My journey's real.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on Who, What, Where Wednesday. My name's Narelle Warcon, and boy, am I excited. And I hope you bring the excitement with you because we have our special guest showing up today. How fantastic is that? We're absolutely elated. Willow is with us in the background, so I'm just going to run through a few hellos. And then we'll get straight into our program today, which is called Self-Talk. So thank you again for joining us on Who, What, Where Wednesday. My name's Narelle Warcon, and I'm coming to you from Mackay, Queensland, Australia. We'd like to welcome our LinkedIn people who are following and listening and watching from over there. So thank you. Please leave me a message and I will come back to you after the show or maybe tomorrow. Also, I welcome those coming in on Narelle Warcon Author. We're very, very blessed to have you all coming and watching and spending your time with us today. Like I said, we're very, very excited. So with no further ado, I just want to say that, it has been last week, Willow wasn't able to make it with internet problems and things like that. There was a big, and you all know when your internet goes down, it doesn't matter what you do. There's always going to be that thing that you can't do. The other thing is Willow, and I want to say this before I bring Willow on, is that there's been some humongous floods over in Willow's area. So for her to actually be here tonight, spread the word. Let's get Willow blown up because she has some amazing information that she's going to share with us tonight. And we're going to have a conversation around that self-talk. So I just want to welcome a few of you guys popping on here. I know Jean's here. Thank you so much, Jean, for your early mornings. And also, for supporting us every week. We really, really appreciate it. Kenton's here from New Zealand. Gua's in from, I think, Bangladesh, India. AJ, Ava, thank you so much for joining us from Bangladesh. Like I said, please share this out so that we can get as many people here as possible, because Willow has been up very early to be actually here. Ramaram, thank you so much for joining us. And Saraj, thank you for everything you do, and thank you for joining us today. And anybody else that's popping on any of my sites there, thank you so much for joining in today. So let's get going. So who is Willow Griffith? Well, Willow is a person that we met in our business many years ago, and Willow used to come on to a lot of webinars that she expresses herself amazingly. Now, Willow is in the older years. Let's not say old, because none of us are old. We're only as old as we feel, or the person we're touching. Sorry, that's an Australian joke. So like I said, Willow, we don't need to tell Willow's age. Willow has come and over the years with so much beautiful information, her life experience. And what I'm finding out also is that life experience is something that you all should be sharing. And when we come on here each week, we like to have people on. We like to have different people on excuse me, but we also like the fact that YouTubers are now looking for those people who are sharing life experiences, those people who are real. And you know that I come on here, I'm very raw and real. My book absolutely is definitely raw and real. And we may not pop over it today, but if you are looking for it, just go over to my website, narellewarcon.com. So again, I am having a new website created. I would like to say that somebody else is doing it for me, but I'm doing a lot of the work, and especially the creative, the photos and the information and things like that. So it's really, really exciting. And of course, my beautiful production manager is doing all that technical stuff in the background, which none of us like to do. So anyway, that's enough of me. I know you didn't come here to see me again. Well, maybe you did a little bit. But again, thank you for all those popping on. I'm going to bring on Willow Griffith. Thank you so much for joining us today, Willow. And like I said, please share out so everybody gets this information and gets the value that Willow and I will bring today. So hello, Willow. Thank you so much. And it's an absolute
I
blessing and
am
honor.
delighted to be here. Absolutely delighted. I think that you're my favorite person on Passive or New Direction. And I've been around a long time since it started. And I know a lot of people know me just by hearing us talk. But this topic that we're talking about is really near and dear to my heart. Because even though as educated as I am and the jobs that I held and everything, it didn't dawn on me I was the one that was sabotaging me all along. We never stop to think of the damage self-talk can do. And so I wanted to recommend a couple of books, and I'm going to put you can link them in your website next week, and they're really worthwhile. And I'm an avid reader, so I read everything that's out there. And the two books that I selected for this topic are really the ones that you want to look at now, that's going on right now. So I will get them out for you. To start with, I'm a counselor, a spiritual counselor, but I worked with the Department of Corrections as a correctional counselor with uh, some people that were really at the end of their rope.
Mm.
And at the time, they were doing a lot of research into what was causing, like, some people to excel and some people to fail. And they couldn't find a correlation why a 24-year-old from a good family, exposed to things that he was exposed to, just got along so well. And then the kids across the block, just never got a break. And he never did anything. And there was such a conflict. So there was a large study that began at the University of Virginia many years ago about this topic, and I was involved with it quite extensively at the beginning. And it was right in front of our eyes, and we still didn't see it. Self-talk has to be healed by self-talk.
Mm.
That's the key. They were trying to find little ditties they could give you to fill in. We had, all of these things that you should do to excel in the world. And not one thing dawned on any of us that we got to talk to ourselves to make it right.
That's really incredible, Willow. Like that's really stood out for me already. Is self-talk needs healing by self-talk? That's really incredible. Go on, please. I just thought that was
Oh,
fascinating.
well, self-talk has had many names, consciousness and all of that. Well, you need self-talk for consciousness too. It is self-talk is a vital part of your consciousness. And when we start looking at negative self-talk versus positive, The differences stand out so brightly, especially if you're like I am when I see people in spirit, that you can tell when there's some important things missing there along the line. If you take an example like two babies born the same day in the incubator in the hospital, bright blue eyes shining out. One does extremely well, makes millions of dollars, and the other one ends in a drug program and dies at a very early age. And they use them as an example. What, you know, what's going on there? Of course we do, with background and how they were being programmed. And what people didn't really understand is, from the time we open our little blue eyes or black eyes or gray eyes or green eyes, we're being programmed.
Absolutely.
And the conclusion you have to come to as you age is, where am I getting all this stuff? Is this a programming that I want? Do I truly believe this, or was it injected into my life to make me toe the line from my parents, for example, or from a mother that doesn't like me and he keeps telling me I'm ugly? So I was with a group of doctors, and they, like a lot of other intelligent people, never go back to school and revamp what they learned to become a doctor. They just go 20 years, they don't go for any more classes or anything. And they say, oh, it's just a matter of there's bad seeds all over the place. No, there's not. No. I can't tell you that enough. That I took a young boy in the institution that was in there for violent rape, assault, numerous other things. He was only 24. He knew nothing but poverty and grief his entire life. Never had a normal day that something dangerous hadn't happened to him. And he absolutely got to a point, he blamed it all on the women of the world. And it was his programming that did that, because of all the abuse he got, it was always from the women in his family. And it was a beautiful thing to see. After 1 year, we got into some really extensive studies about who says you can't do this, who said you did that, who's telling you that, who's programming you, are you programming you? We program ourselves too, because a lot of us are selfish. Not me or you, but some people are.
Yeah.
And we like the comforts of the world. We don't want to stretch. We want to.
Sorry, Willow, I just want to jump in again, because I think that there's a few things that people need to understand. Like when you're talking about self-talk and the experiences that you've had with that, I just want to relate it back to myself just for a second before we come back over to you. And the reason why I do that is because if anybody's read my book, they will know that I went through sexual, physical, mental abuse, domestic violence, whatever you want to call it, from a very young age, but only found out later in life. One of the biggest things that I think people can do, not only from a self-talk position, is also about forgiveness. And forgiveness to me is about forgiving your perpetrators and things like that. So, anyone who had done wrong to me, and this is not an easy thing to do either. Forgive yourself, but forgive your perpetrators. And a lot of people carry the hate, and you're talking about this young man took it out on every woman in the world because there was that hatred within himself, or that self-talk about, not loving yourself enough and things like that. And I can't say it enough, how people need to bring it within. That happiness and that love of self really does project out to the world. But just quickly, forgiving your perpetrators and things like that is really important. And I was able to forgive mine to be able to move forward myself. So, we talk about self-talk, that I think that is really important in this era of the world where there's so much negativity and self-doubt, you're not good enough, all those sorts of things. And we spoke a lot about this last week, if everybody remembers, about self-talk. Just saying hello to Glenda and Irfan for jumping on. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, share out. There's some great information here today. But go back over to your story, Willow. I just wanted to jump in about, how I sort of felt with, the hatred. It's so easy to hate or make somebody else the reason why you are who you are. So please continue.
Those kind of stories, all of us have our stories. All of us have our tragedies. And, I lost all the rest of my family, my 3 sisters, my oldest daughter, my son, all in 1 year.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to grieve.
Mm.
Even though I know what goes on the other side, I still don't know how to grieve. And I held it in for a long, long time. And grief is like self-talk. It has to let you know how it is, And if you ignore that part of it, it will come back to haunt you at a day that you don't realize. But I am very passionate about doing things my own way. I, I hate to say that, but it's true. Stubbornness and all. And
That's why we get on so well, because my mother always told me I was stubborn like my dad's side of the family. And I said, well, if it's a gene handed down, then so be it. You are who you are. Stubbornness is not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
I have problems with people that are judgmental. And I have learned over the years, self-talk really, really, truly is at the bottom of overjudging, the judgmental beliefs, And if we take, for example, that young man I was telling you about, if we take a boy like that and we teach him, you're doing this to yourself. It's not your mother, not your sister. Yeah, they were bad, but it depends on what you call bad, You were the one that absorbed it, and your brain made it as part of you. And now it's up to you to identify it and eradicate it. So once he got that right, that he could go back in and he could change his past by laying down the stuff that was absolutely corrupted him. He spread the word. He was able to help his family, his stepfather, who was a monster when he was young, So when you talk about forgiveness, now learning to use language properly and the language of the mind properly is really a gift. And it takes a while. But once you do it, everything changes with your life. Everything. So he was able to change his life, but he changed the life of everybody around him. So when you were saying forgiveness is so important, he understood what forgiveness was then. He didn't know what he was forgiven before. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
So
a lot of sense in that. And I think it is a learned thing. Maybe it comes with maturity. I mean, at 24, to be able to learn that is quite incredible, to go through that journey for that young man. Like I said, forgiveness is not an easy thing, and it's something that we have to dig deep, and it's something we have to consistently work on ourselves to be able to do that, because carrying the pain and hurt from yesterday is not going to do you any good for today or tomorrow or next month or next year. So I think if people can learn, that ability, or at least read, research, and like you said, you've got a couple of books that you want to share with people that will help in those situations. I think that's really important in today's society. So we can take on the negatives of the world, or we can say, no, I'm going to put my blinkers on. It's not that I don't want to know what's going on, but I don't have to live there, So I
Right.
think that forgiveness thing is something, it didn't come easy for me either. And I'm not saying it as a flippant thing, but what I'm saying is that I had my spiritual side, my God, that I believe in. And I do believe he picked me up and carried me through those times when I didn't
Yes.
feel that depth of hatred, or that depth of, I always had loving parents, even though they only loved in the way that they could. Okay. And
Right.
that's what we have to remember, that many
Me
of the
too.
generational love is different for everybody, but they loved us for what they could at the time and their experiences and things like that. So please continue on. It's very
Well,
fascinating. So I hope everybody's
parental
enjoying it.
parental programming is another
Yeah.
thing we need to look at, because women that control their young sons, like coercion and a few other things to get them to behave themselves, to do what they want them to do, they have no idea the damage they're doing, because it's not their life, it's his life,
That's
or
right.
their daughter's life. And having a nice, proper kid that says yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, that goes out and kills cats behind your house, that's a whole other ball game because he's so angry. So
Mm.
parental self-talk
Mm.
is so damaging that it takes years
Mm.
to recover. So when you go and you're going to say you're going to go in and do a really clean up job on yourself, you better start back where you're about to, and remember all the things that you regretted and you were angry about, and things like that. But
Mm.
self-talk can be got over in an instant. In an instant, if you grasp the concept, it is
Mm.
not. It doesn't take up space. It's not like you have to clear out the cupboards to get rid of it.
Mm.
No, it's a thought. Thoughts are the most powerful thing in the world. Thoughts are the most powerful. And with your own thoughts, you can turn around your abused past. I didn't believe it. I was raised by a Native American father and an Irish mother in dire poverty with 8 kids. And I was the last. And my mother was unable to cope. And God love her, she was a saint in my eyes. But boy, some of the things she did to us were not saintly. But what I'm saying is, once I found out that I could forgive, like you say you do,
Mm.
that was a giant step in my recovery. And I say recovery because if you don't take the time, I, Ash uses these wonderful words, success and imminent and everything, and everybody wonders why he does it. Words have power. Your words have power.
Mm.
So if you tell your mind, that's not true, I don't want to hear it anymore, you won't.
Mm.
But you have to know how to talk to your mind. That's what I hope we'll get into the next session that
Yeah,
we're in.
absolutely. Just to let everybody know that Willow has so much to talk about. We will be doing another session in a couple of weeks when Willow's back on board and everything's okay as well. So today I wanted to introduce Willow, and so people could see and maybe share it out there to get more people here to listen to Willow, her wisdom, her words, and how to's. Okay, because that's what's important here. It's not just about talking to you. it's about sharing with you so that you can go, okay, well, I can do this, or, you know, Willow has this available, or Willow said that, or Narelle said this, so that we can take those things away with us and have a little think about this. You know, this is deep, but it's also easy than what you're doing right now. So if you're stuck in that pattern of self-talk, self-sabotage, you know, going down that path of I'm not good enough, then you really need to open your mind up. And maybe here now, today, in a couple of weeks, is that why has this come across your path? You know, why have these words, have these ladies come across your path at this time? Maybe it is your time to step up and say, it's time for me to change. And we all know, if you don't know by now, that change happens within. It doesn't happen from outward validations. It doesn't help from any business or any book. Well, books, yes, because of the wording, but, you know, from anybody telling you what to do, which we're not. We're not telling you what to do. We're sharing our experiences through coming through adversities in life, that you are not alone. Okay, there are people out there that want to help you, and you are worthy and you are amazing to continue on in life, to keep living and loving and have this wonderful life that you can have. So I'll go back over to you, Willow. I just want to say hello to a couple of people popping on. Abdul, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. It's so wonderful. And Vivine has joined us from Western Australia. It's so lovely to see you all. And Pereru, I never get them right, Willow. So thank you so much for jumping on today. Like I said, if you're finding this of value, please share it out, because this is really important right now. I think I've frozen, but maybe my voice is coming through. So I'll go back over to you, Willow, if you're still there. Maybe we lost her.
I'm still here. I was looking at.
Yeah, beautiful. No, that's okay. We'll go back over to you. I just wanted to, you know, let people know why we're here and the reason maybe why they need to think about why they're here. So over to you, Willow.
Thank you. You know, the reason I wanted to talk about it was Ash's preparing us to be the biggest influencers in the world.
Mm.
We cannot assume those positions of influence without taking care of our negative self-talk, because we will stand back, let somebody else do it, and you lose out, and it's a no-win situation. I wanted everybody to take the time while we're waiting to find out what they could do to start.
Absolutely.
All it takes is a start. And then when we get into being an influencer, we'll know how to step up and use the words that not only train our mind, but it's going to train others that look up to us. So if we do this systematically, we're going to be, we're not only going to shout, they're going to come after us, really.
Absolutely. And just another thing there, I'm sorry for jumping in. I'm sorry to my listeners, but I get excited when Willow says things. And one of the things when you spoke about Ash is that, you know, he's building up, and the way that he speaks and the words that he uses is about building those influences. Not necessarily leaders. I think leaders is a really harsh word and more of a business terminology. And we're creating a mission or a vision here of uplifting humanity. So it's more about being influential. And when you talk about that negative talk about, I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as Willow, or I'm not as good as Jean, or I'm not as good as Vivine, there's so much of that goes on as far as the jealousy and competition goes within any company, not just our own. So, you know, bringing it back to why Ash is doing what he's doing, you know, why he stepped back from putting it all out there. Because when we do go forward, you know, into that where his vision is, it's going to be, excuse me, it's going to be a shock to the world. But for us, as those who have been here for a few years, it gives us that ability, like you said, to be ready. And I've been helping people to sort of be ready in other ways. But this is a good way of changing that mind, you know, that self-talk and that negativity into why isn't this happening, and what's happening here, and all of these questions around, because you're focused on money. And when you're
Yes.
focused on money, that's all you stay focused on. Self-talk, or
Money's out. He told us money's out there. That's not the
yeah,
worry.
it's available. It's already out there. So you don't have to worry about that. You know, people think that money is going to change their lives, but if you've got a bad heart, a bad head, a bad mouth, and things like that, nothing can change you except changing yourself. You know, so
I thought
money
you were
isn't
talking
going
about
to
me
make
for a
that.
minute there.
We know that money is needed, okay, but it doesn't mean
Oh,
that
Lord, yes.
money is our god, or money is our the only way forward, because money will not change you as a person. So please go ahead,
Words,
Willow.
words are so powerful.
Mm.
And we forget, as human beings, how powerful they are. If you really do some analysis on the words you use, I write a little, um, when I was on Facebook, I did. Um, it's called Switch Words. And you pick out words of power. And it's something we can start now and have everybody invent a switch word for the week that we have to use throughout the week. And you'd be so surprised at the words that people come up with that have such incredible insight and power.
Mm.
So you can use those to really, I adore you too, Jeannie Aliva. I love you. But anyway, there's so many things that we can do, and that Ash has been pushing us into. He's saying, now this is the one that really sits with me. He says, don't listen to them, those people that harmed us, that didn't want to be with us, and all that. Don't listen to them. Don't even look at their videos. He already knows that when you look at them, they've already programmed you. They got you right there, boom, like that. And if you sit down and listen to them, they'll get you in another way where you'll feel from the heart. So don't listen to them. Don't include them in your conversation. Don't talk like they exist. When I get mad, and I get mad once in a while, I never speak to that person ever again. Never again. I just don't. It's done. I'm done. And when I'm done, you'll know it, because I just don't, I don't want any more.
I understand that fully. I understand that fully. And the thing is, I think yourself and many of our listeners here, myself included, we're such forgiving and understanding, and we put up with a lot, and we carry all of this, and we carry all of this until that day comes when we go, we're done. That's it. It can take one bad word from somebody, and it's like, there's a line. You may not have seen it, but I drew the line, and because they don't see it coming. And
Nope.
the thing is, all of a sudden, that the nastiness, and when you relieve yourself of that person's, whatever it might be, family or business or relatives or whatever, friends, you feel so much lighter and think, why didn't I do that earlier?
Oh, yes. I had a brother-in-law, God rest his soul. That man had a dark cloud that just hung over everything. And he's stingy, selfish, all the things that you could dream of, he was. And so God loved my sister. He was very sick. And she asked me, she says, Woody, will you pray for him? And I said, you know, I said, what am I going to ask God to do for him? And I said, yes, I would. And she broke down and she cried. She says, I know he'll either be better or he'll leave us because your prayers have power. And I said, okay. So I went home. And I had to have a real good long look at the mirror. And I said to myself, as much as you just like that man, how you going to pray for him? Teresa's little thing come up in my mind, just like she placed it there from her hand. If they make you bad, love them anyway.
Yes,
Your
absolutely.
love is love. You can love somebody that's a irascible old fool. That's okay. Maybe he's not lovable. Even the dog's gonna love you. That's okay.
Yeah.
Your
And
love is
I
what
think
it's
you
for.
find, I think you find also, Willow, that I know that Chris Johnson, Marcy, talk about this because they're sort of talking about it coming from Ash, is that, love them and let them go. You don't have to remain friends with somebody just because you care about them or love them. So that self-talk, oh, I must do this because they're my uncle, or I must do this because somebody told me. This is all self-talk. Okay, this
And
is
it's
where
all
self-talk is
programming.
coming. That's right. And it's all programming coming from who? And that's where you need to start questioning, where is this coming from? Why do I believe this? Why are these women talking about this stuff? Maybe it's bringing up something for yourself. And if it is, please pop into the chat if some of this is stirring something inside of you, because I think, like I said, this is a huge subject and we will have Willow back again. But that self-love also helps to love others and let them go. It's okay to let them go. So please continue, Willow.
Oh well, I really like to say I'm going to do this in stages because the two books that I recommended. One is what are you going to say to yourself now that you know you have self-talk, and it's by a very good. Well, I love him, and I've known him for years. Shad Hetstetter, and he writes all kinds of books for counseling and all of that. But he was one of them like me. We didn't figure out for a long time it was self-talk was self-talk, bad or good. And that's who communicates with your brain. But another is, I can't think of the girl's name right now, or I'd tell you, that wrote the other book. She's more practical. She gives you practical experiences like, she used to think that she was too fat. She only weighed about maybe 5 pounds over the limit of what she should. But her brother just tormented her all her life about, look at your fat arm. He was so hateful. He's just getting her goat. So, but she carried it all her life, and she was way too fat. When I told her the story of my daughter who died of anorexia and alcohol abuse, and how we cried, and I was willing to hold her down and feed her, you know. So whenever I see somebody that complains about being too fat, I say, thank God you've got a little chunk to you, because if you didn't, it's a sad world. I didn't mean to get off on that tangent.
No, that's okay. And I think that, bringing your real emotions around this, because there's so many dealing in this world with people who are judgmental from the outside. They don't even
Right.
know a person. They're already going, she's ugly, she's old, she's too young, that's the wrong color. And look, sometimes I find myself doing that over the past years.
I do.
You've got to know how to turn that around. And last week I spoke about giving our inner voice a name. Okay, I'm just going to bring this up now because I know many of our listeners here may have named that voice, as I did last week and named it George. Did you have a conversation with that voice about, hey, and like I've had to teach myself, I suppose, to catch myself. I catch myself going, negative thought coming out about somebody else, say, for instance, or a situation. And I'm catching myself now going, oh, that's not very nice, Narelle. Bring it back to
Right.
that person deserves to be loved, or that person, has whatever it is, like my son is a beautiful man, but I find he can be a little bit judgmental at times, maybe whatever it is for whatever reasons. I always catch him and I always turn it around, so that I'm teaching him all the time, catch and turn around, catch and, but what about this? What about if they're going through this? You know what I mean? Like, you have to look at, everybody's life is different. You have no idea what's going on in somebody's life, so please don't be judgmental on them as to what you see them doing that you think is wrong, right? According to what? According to your own thoughts, your own programming, your own self-talk. This is huge. So thank you, Willow. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry for jumping in all the time, but it excites me. So,
well, I think we're right down to the wire here, and we should catch up and talk back and forth. I
yeah.
think that with this topic, it's going to take us into the launch, and it's going to support us in ways that we can't even guess. And I'll tell us a story of myself. Uh, I was a little arrogant. I hate to admit it, but I used to have really intolerant thoughts about other people's struggles sometimes, even though they were worse than mine were. And I found that was part of self-talk, because I vowed up and down I'd never be poor again. And I have struggled all my life to not be poor. But I forgot to take care of why I thought I was poor when I had all of this around me, all of this blessings of Jesus and the Holy Ghost, and the ability to see life on the other side, to speak with my children that have passed and crossed over, to talk to other people's loved ones. I've been given gifts that were far, far surpassing anything that monetary, money wise. So I'm guilty. I have to work on self talk every day, because I get
Yeah.
mad at Trump and I turn into it. I have a temper tantrum.
All right.
What?
Nothing political here. Nothing political. Okay.
Okay. Oh, I'm just saying he's just a man.
Yeah, I know. And everybody has their understanding about, again, belief in what they believe in. So whether right,
Right.
wrong, or indifferent, we're very unbiased here about all of those things. But there is one thing, what did I write down? The generations. So we talked about, the generational handing down programming, whatever you want to call it or name it. But some of the things that you have to understand is, and this was a forgiveness thing for me, was my mother in particularly swept things under the carpet, a generational thing that was handed down to them. Okay.
Irish.
Mum took care of us all. Dad was the hard worker and stayed out, and dairy farms, and just hardworking. We hardly saw Dad a lot, so Mum was that person. But what you have to remember is they only knew what they knew, and the decisions or what they brought down to their children was only something that's all they knew at the time. It took me a long time to forgive my mum, in the sense of forgiveness as in why she said those things or why she brushed them under the carpet. So it takes a lot to be able to, the forgiveness comes into it, but remembering they only knew what they knew. Now, what happened to me as a young child, and if you've read my book, you'll understand that I came through something, only found out, many years later, that I had been sexually abused as a 2-year-old girl. Now, the thing is, why, how come, the questions that came up in my head as to why wasn't there an adult there to be able to say, well, this shouldn't be happening. But the thing is, I asked the question, and maybe it's something that our viewers can ask. Hi, Bill Must and Oliver Fonte. I saw you. Too. Yeah, he is. One of the things I asked myself was, what did they go through that they felt that they had to, or didn't know, that they were passing on something that came from their experiences in their childhood or their lives or their teenage. Remember, generational comes down. It means that somebody's passing something down over the generations about something that's happened in their life, how they felt, you know, those sort of things around it. So, like I said, it is deep conversation. But Willow, please continue on.
There's
Sorry again
generation,
for putting in, but yeah.
there's generational karma too. And one day we'll get into that, but we're not keeping ourselves
Yeah.
right to the topic. We can span out a little bit. And I think that generational karma comes for many of the people, especially like in my family. My mother was Irish, and my father was Oglala Sioux Indian, and they weren't
Mm.
supposed to marry, and they had to escape from Michigan and the Midwest to get out to California so they could be married. And they were so private. They always felt that they were running, that they would get caught and they'd be torn apart, and because they did that in those days, you know. So he carried generational karma, and he understood it. Native Americans do far better than normal, regular Americans. But we need to talk about that because that's opening a can of worms. You just, you know.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like, because there is so much intergenerational being, so different nationalities, different cultures. I married an Aboriginal man, you know, who was part Aboriginal, part South Sea Islander from Vanuatu Islands. And even back then, there was, even from my own mum, you know, there was a bit of a judgmental as to, you know, you
What?
don't do that and things like that. It was a little bit deeper than that, but let's just
Yeah.
surface over that for now. Willow, I want to bring to your attention, Jean wrote something in our chat tonight, and I just want to bring it to your attention. It says, seeing ourselves in other people, even when very difficult, and having compassion transforms that energy in an instant. So
Oh,
seeing ourselves in other people, because we know that we're judgmental, we're human beings, you know, we're never
yeah.
going to be perfect. And like Willow said earlier, we're working on ourselves all the time. You know, self-talk is something that's going to, once you start, you need to, and change that, you need to work on that every day, because like I said, we're human. Something's going to happen and it's going to pop in our face and we're going to go, oh, judgmental. But the thing is, when we're catching ourselves and changing it, as I think Vivine said in there as well, you know, there's quite a few beautiful comments coming through there, but I just wanted to read that one to you. When we see ourselves in others, what is your take on that when you read that?
I think she is absolutely a gift from God, our Jean. And
She
she's
is.
absolutely correct. When you are able to forgive and let the past go, and I do mean let the past go because you can't do you any good now. You know, you can't go back to the old ways of doing things. You expand your soul. You expand it. It becomes a larger vessel that can serve you much better. I have problems with forgiveness in lots of areas. Like I told you, I work on it every day. And some people are just divinely blessed that can say, okay, I see them, you know, harm my father, who was a kind, gentle man, and kick him in the street because he was a Native American and grind his face in the dirt. We saw all that, and I was angry. I wanted to fight back, and he wouldn't let us say a word. Wouldn't let us say a word. We'd have been in trouble with our dad if we had.
Yeah.
So on the day of his funeral, he was up. He had a country store where he sold chickens and chicken feed and all of that. They say what you didn't know is that he helped almost half of the community that we lived in survive. Because he'd get 3 chickens, he'd give them to the people, he'd give them seed to get them started. And on his funeral, women and their husbands and children were walking up giving my mother envelopes and envelopes and envelopes. And we didn't know what they were doing. And she was just beside herself. So when he had become a Catholic convert for my mother, and the priest was very, very close to him. But when it was over, Father Heritage stood up at the altar and said, "This man was the pillar of our community, this man that you treated so shabbily." You know, and he said, for every person that dropped an envelope in my mother's lap, they were paying a debt that they owed him. Some went back 25 years.
Wow.
One man gave my mother a $5,000 check that Mama thought she could never. Where did he get it? He said, "I've been saving it."
Wow.
So Jeannie is altogether right again. When you forgive and you truly forgive, and my dad would say, they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
They don't know what I am. They don't know what a native is, an indigenous person. They don't know. And he says, you have to forgive them. And I have, oh, yes, he did. You know how young kids are. Because that was my dad, my God. Yeah, nobody kicked him in the face. I was ready to take him on, you know, he wouldn't allow it. Even say a bad word.
Willow, that brings me just back to something like when Jesus, depending on what you believe in and whatever, when he said, "Forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do or say." And that really resonated with me just then, because it is about forgiveness, because forgive them for what they do not know that they're doing. You know, not
Right.
everybody
Same with
is
our
here.
voice.
Yeah,
Same with
that
the self-talk. Forgive
yeah,
them if their self-talk isn't teaching them to be all that they can be, because they
yeah,
don't know they even have self-talk.
yeah.
So they
And
don't know what to do.
each week I bring up to everybody and say to them, I'm never going to stop saying that you're worthy, you're enough, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're kind, you're caring, until they keep writing it in the chat. And I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to keep telling people that they're worthy. You have to believe in yourself. You have to take that heart-centered feeling. It doesn't matter where you're sitting in. It's never going to change unless you change. Okay, it is never going to change unless you change. No amount of money, no amount of anybody or thinking that everybody else is to blame is going to change who you are. And the decisions that you make today are going to be imperative for moving forward with our company. You need that vision, you need that strength, you need that love, that self-love. And changing that takes self-talk, it takes discipline, you know. Like everybody has said, you know, even Ash himself has said, you know, moving forward is fine. And there's a lot that the company will do for us. But what are you doing for yourself to make sure that you're ready?
Exactly.
You know, what are
That's what
you
we're going to
doing? Yeah. So,
do.
Willow, I'm going to we are sort of running a little over time. And like I said, we will have many, you know, speakers on.
Can I
Willow
say
will be coming back.
little?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to, you've got the floor, and I'm going to be quiet and
I
just read
am,
these messages.
I'm going to start a YouTube channel again, and
Yes.
I'm going to have conversations with Willow, and we're going
Yeah.
to talk about these stories that we had to share with others, and talk about how we can heal our hearts. And I hope that you will take Narelle's example. Narelle took a chance to have me on again. She didn't know what this old fool was going to do. She just had trust. And I have a tendency to talk too much. Marty goes like this.
It has not. They love you. We love you.
But I want to thank everybody in the chat room. I've been trying to find, the bits and pieces, and they're all so wonderful. I just can't tell you how you make my heart sing. Because at my age, well, a lot of things can make me mad, but not too many things make my heart sing right around this time. And I thank you for that. And I see you, Vivian, inside and out, honey girl. I know you. You know I know you.
Absolutely. And just before we do finish up, um, I, I hope this doesn't upset you or make you mad. Bill Musk said that he doesn't usually ask women their age, but he wanted to know how old you were. I'm not going to say, and it's up to you if you want to say or not. Um, the
I'm
kick, so yeah.
I'm 83, Bill, but I'm going on 16 now because they're going to give us all this new stuff that's coming up with AI. They'll fix our liver and our kidneys and our back and our hips. And next time you see me, I'll be looking like Marilyn Monroe.
Absolutely. And isn't Willow an absolutely stunning 83-year-old? And you
Oh,
know what? The love
that's
exudes
great.
from you. The love exudes from you. Like, I know you've got experience, and I bring my experience every week on a Wednesday, different things, like if we're moving forward or doing this or doing that, I'm trying to create some value for our listeners. Okay. So bringing you on and sharing about self-talk, like I said, I went over a little bit of it last week because I felt that there was a need to say something about it, which led beautifully into today's having you on and being here is just an absolute blessing because, as many of you know, and I shared last week that Willow had troubles with her internet. There is also some floods going on. So please keep people in your thoughts and prayers. However you feel right about it, make sure that it's uplifting. Don't get caught in the sadness of the world. Make sure it's uplifting and send love to these people. Send care, send peace, send joy, and do all those things which uplift humanity. It's not just about, giving somebody money on the side of the corner so they can get a feed. That's important as well. But when you feel and you know yourself, when you've done that love work within yourself, that you want to uplift them, the best way to do that is if you pray, uplift them in prayer. Okay. If you don't pray, then uplift them in your thoughts, but always bringing joy and love and caring and kindness all the time. So, Willow, thank you so much. I'll give you
I
another
want to thank, I want to
two
thank
minutes.
Bill. This is, you're looking good. Well, thank you, Bill. You know what? I make a promise. When we get really successful, you're going to come out and see me on my farm, and I'm going to play a country song for you.
Oh,
I used
yeah.
to play country music. I used to uh, play a few licks on the guitar. I was so excited about when you put a country song or kind of country song on your videos.
Yeah.
I went and got my husband. Just listen to what Bill's doing. I was so excited. So thank you, Bill.
Yeah, so thank you, Bill Musk, for being here, and thank you, John White, for the videos that you were putting together. Obviously,
Oh,
Willow's saying, please put some more country out there. So I grew up with country and western and a few different
oh, me
soulful
too.
singers, Jim Reeves, and a few of those that Mum used to play. So
I'm
um,
gonna learn how to play a dobro.
really, wow.
Yes, I'm gonna have Friday night jam sessions too at my house.
Wow. Well, Willow and I have spoken many times over the years about me coming to visit her and sitting on her
You
porch. And sometimes you don't need words. It's just the fact of the
bet.
feeling of being there. And that's what, again, we've spoken about. Words can be powerful. They can be negative. They can set you back, but they can all, you don't need words to have a feeling. Okay.
I have
So
love
sometimes
it.
when you're connected, like we have, and many of us have here. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you so much. Even if you've popped on late, please go back and watch the recording. There's been a lot of information shared here today. Vivine, thank you so much for being here. Vivine is an absolutely beautiful soul and a great soul connection. Nagma, thank you so much for popping on. I saw Bergith earlier, and any of those that we have coming on that are able to want to share something, or please, like I said, share it out so that we have people coming here. As Willow said, she's going to start back up with her sessions on her YouTube. We know that we have spoken before about supporting each other's YouTube, and I have just set up memberships for my YouTube because I believe in helping others. So if you are interested in that, if you go to the YouTube channel and have a look at it's either join or have a look at the subscribe. There is at 3 different levels of subscription for memberships. Some of them are, at lower cost, but like I said, everybody needs to support each other. When Willow starts up, when those who become, and I've been talking about this over the months, Willow, about people getting their YouTube set up, how to do that, what to do, become more personalized.
Let's do it online.
Yeah, the thing is, people are a bit scared because they're that self-talk. So this is really hugely important right now about trusting in yourself. You've had your experiences. Willow's are not my experiences, and mine aren't Jean's experiences, and so on and so forth. Okay. We all have different experiences in life. And like I do a lot of research in the background. I do a lot of stuff in the background. But one of the things that I'm learning lately is that many YouTubers, besides the ones that are just doing trendy type stuff and maybe the younger ones, a lot of people are now searching for those who are more genuinely sharing who they are, their journey, so that you know that you're not alone. So you know that you're going to get some information from somebody who's been there and done it. If whether it's a hobby, or whether it's coming on here and talking about self-talk, or whether it's how to create this, they want to hear from people. And my program, as I've said, I've already done all this. I ironed out the big ups and downs. So when I share my program, I've already said go. It's able to give you more of basic steps without all the hoo-ha in the background. Again, we talk about support, and we have said that we will support your YouTube channel. I know that we have been working with Kenton as well on building some stuff. Another thing you need to think about is, what do I really need? And those things will be discussed over the next few weeks as well, as we come into this time of, because we don't know, okay, and we're not going to set any time frame or time limit to it. We're just going to say, when it's here and it arrives, will you be ready? Are you ready? And this is now the
We're
time
going
for you
to
to
be
be
ready.
ready.
We're going to be the strongest group ever that hits this area.
Absolutely.
It's going to be these old white-haired grandmothers leading the charge now.
Hey, I'm turning that lighter shade of grey. From blonde, I stopped dyeing my hair over a year ago now. Like I said, I had a heart attack back in April, on the 1st of April. We have to continue to look after ourselves, and one of that is supporting each other, lifting each other up. If you haven't got that around you, then what can you do to change that? If you're always saying, oh, this one and that, and whinging, that's all you're going to keep bringing on. That's all you're going to keep bringing into your life. Today is the day to say, I'm going to make changes in my life. Willow, you've been an absolute blessing for us today. Like I said, there are many. And I'll also, Willow, before you go, will you send me the names of those 2 books so that I can send it out to our people?
Will.
Yeah, so send it to me, because I know it didn't go into the chat, and we will send it out, because I know that there's many on here that will probably want to look into, purchasing those and things like that. So send them through to me. Again, I've just been absolutely blown away by our conversations tonight. I think that it can lead. I know my head's going, I am not going to go to sleep now. But it's, you know, it does open the mind. If you allow these things and these words to settle in your mind, right? Give yourself time to think about things. Don't just go, that's not for me. Think about things. This is really important. Willow, I love you. You are an
I love you
absolute
too.
beautiful lady. And I am so thrilled that you were able to get here today. I prayed intensely to make sure that Willow gets here today. Don't care what the floods are doing.
Make
But
sure I don't have to get to my house in a boat.
Willow said in the beginning that she would swim here if she had to make it. And I just laughed like crazy because with all the waters and everything, the flooding and things that are happening, and yes, there's some sad things happen, and sad things have happened in our world for years and years and years and years and years. So don't get stuck in that. Uplift society, uplift your neighbor, uplift your family, uplift your friends, and be that kind person that you want to see in everybody else. Okay, reflect back, make sure that you're showing love, spreading love, and give those hugs. I miss hugs. My biggest thing at the moment is hugs are really important, but I hug myself at night when I go to sleep. Not,
Thank
you don't
you.
need to share that with the world, but I do hug myself when I go to sleep because they say that special, you know, endorphins and things like that get released when you hug somebody, but it's got to be for 20 seconds. And I don't get to hug anybody except my sisters occasionally when I see them. So I hug myself when I go to sleep, and that's how I sleep, in that hugging position. Whatever I do when I'm asleep, who knows? Um, but yeah. So again, thank you so much, Willow.
You're right.
I know it's
Hug
been an
yourself.
absolute beautiful.
Hug yourself just because. Think of that little girl that was left
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
And now you can reach down and pick her up and hug her because she needs it now just as much as then.
I've done so much work on that little girl. I actually have a picture of my mum and me as a probably around 6-month-old baby, and I put it on the fridge. And I don't share this with everybody. Thank you, Jean, for bringing us the right word. I don't share this with everybody, but I needed, part of my forgiveness was having that photo up there to be able to forgive my mum because she didn't know any different or didn't know how to, and
All tied
and to love on the little girl that she's holding, which is me. So I have that on my fridge all the time. Sometimes I feel that it's time to take it down, and I leave it for a few days, and
together.
I leave it, and it's still there, and it's probably been there now for about um, probably 8 months or so. But I just felt at
Really
the time that's what I needed to do. So when it's ready, that it will come down and something will go up in its place. But that's how I sort of felt that I needed to or could deal with that situation, by having it right there. It reminded me all the time, not of a negative, but to outpour of love. My mum is gone. She's been gone, I think it's 12 years this year. 2013, yeah, 12 years.
really
I have no regrets about anything. I cared for my mum towards the end, and I was able to love on her for who she was rather than who
me
I
too.
expected her to be. And that changed my life around to have that opportunity to do that.
There are
So,
days that I like to lay my head in my mother's lap and have her comb my hair and tell me I was beautiful.
yeah.
Because there are days you need a mother's love. I don't care who you are.
That's right. And when they're gone, you miss them. So make sure you're reaching out to your mums out there and your dads, because they're as important. My dad was that quiet man like your father. You know, he was quite hardworking. Oh my gosh. When he spoke, you knew that he meant it because he didn't speak a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
Believe it or not, I didn't get my talking from my dad. But I did get a lot of things from dad, and I absolutely am always blessed about that. But we all need our mums, and when we lose our mums, it's one of the biggest things. That's where we came from. We came from the womb of our mother, you know, and there's so much there. So again, we're going to have Willow back. I do have to finish off now. It's been an absolute pleasure. The chat has gone off, and I will send you a copy of that as well, Willow, just so that you can see how many people were interacting with you. If you missed any of them,
Oh,
then you can read over that as well. I think, like I said, it's been an absolute blessing. I wish each and every one of you who's come on today who shared this out to this information that I think has been absolutely mind-blowing in a sense, but also creates that thought pattern of what can I do and what can I change. So those coming in on LinkedIn, thank you so much. Those who came in on my YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, whatever you want to do. It doesn't really worry me, but it is good to be able to click on that bell for all notifications for when we do go live. I really think that today has been an important lesson for us all. And even as we grow into mature ages, it's not something where you stop learning. Oh, I've learned it all. I don't need to have anything else or know anything else. I've learned it all. We learn every day. And if you're not, then maybe you need to look at that self-talk as to what am I preparing myself for? We're going into an era where we really don't have the absolute 100% idea of what we're doing. We know and we trust and we love Ash, and we love those that, you know, speak out and speak the truth around Marty, Chris, Red, Julie, you know, all of those out there, myself included. So please stay tuned, check into your back office when you can, and remember that those who are speaking the truth are the ones who are bringing you the most that you can possibly get out of what you need to do right now and be ready. So thank you once again, Willow, and thank you, everybody. I love you all, and we'll finish off now, and we shall see you again next week on Who, What, Where Wednesday. And yeah, love and blessings to you all. Bye for now.
Bye.
Woke up with a dream in my pocket. Took a step and I couldn't stop it. Every stumble lit a fire inside. Now I walk with my head held high. Lessons learned and bridges burned. Still I rise with every turn. This is more than just a climb. It's my moment, it's my time. No more hiding in the crowd. Gonna wear my soul out loud. The world is waiting just to see all the magic inside of me. Shine, shine like a diamond bright. Shine your light, you've got every right. Woke up with a dream in my pocket. Took a step and I couldn't stop it. Every stumble lit a fire inside. Now I walk with my head held high. Lessons learned and bridges burned. Still I rise with every turn. This is more than just a climb. It's my moment, it's my time. No more hiding in the crowd. Gonna wear my soul out loud. The world is waiting just to see all the magic inside of me. Shine, shine like a diamond bright. Shine your light, you've got every right. You are special, let it show. Be yourself and let it flow. Stand out, don't dim your glow. You were born to steal the show. Shine, shine like you mean it. Shine so bright they can't believe it. Pages turn, but the heart stayed true. Every scar's got a golden hue. Telling my story in my own style. With every post, every smile. From the hustle to the heart. Every ending's a brand new start. set the world alight. You're special, let it show. Be yourself and let it flow. Stand out, don't dim your glow. This is your time, let 'em know. Shine, shine like you mean it. Yeah, shine so bright they can't believe it. Believe it.
Doing with everyone here. Your presence and your support is very highly appreciative. So